Hello guys, welcome to this review of This Is Fighting Robots, Episode 7. Now for those of you not in the know, This Is Fighting Robots is a Chinese robot fighting show, a bit like BattleBots really, but it's got the added twist of having celebrities using teams of robots to fight each other, and presumably by the end there'll be one team left who is the winner. And we're on the 7th episode now, and this review does contain spoilers for that episode. I'll put a link on the video so you can watch the episode so this doesn't spoil anything for you. So continuing on from last week, the robots were actually being driven by the celebrities themselves, which I'm not too keen on, but I'll moan about that more later. And whoever won the battles got to bring back another robot onto their team. Some of the celebrities picked their robot last week, but this guy, Zhang Yishan, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, they ended the episode on a cliffhanger, so we had to wait till this week. So after standing in the arena for what was presumably the entire week, the guy finally picked Vulcan to come back onto his team. Vulcan's the robot from Team Robots Live and Apollo. It's an axe bot. It looks a bit like Terahertz. So I'm guessing they could pick any robots from any team that they wanted to resurrect, because Vulcan was originally on the green team, and Zhang Yishan was on the blue team. He was their captain. Now I'm happy Vulcan got a chance to compete again after it was rather an unlucky defeat. But poor Zheng Xiaohong, I'm sorry, I'm really bad at pronouncing these Chinese names, she was the leader of the green team, and she looked absolutely mortified by that decision. And why wouldn't she? Because Vulcan is an awesome robot, and they were called the Dream Team in the show so far, so kind of felt a bit sorry for them, but they didn't win, so they couldn't bring one back. However, that wasn't the only unexpected occurrence on this episode, because it's time for something that Chinese robot shows seem to have a habit of doing, and that is the surprise format change of the week! As the celebrities returned to the pits, they were greeted by 5 new robots. Returning from King of Bots, there was Great White, an Australian robot with a spinner on the front and a little cluster bot. There was Dragon King, a track machine built by a BattleBots competitor team. They were called Red Devil. That had tracks on it, 2 circular blades and a crushing jaw on the front. We had RoboGames and BattleBots veterans, Team Nightmare with Wrecker, which was a bulldozer scoop bot. Also, there was Formula, a British robot built by the same team who built Rapid that competed in Robot Wars. It's modelled on a racing car. They promoted it quite a lot on social media before it came out, so I was really looking forward to seeing this. And a Colombian team which had competed in robot sumo competitions and I think came second, and they had a low-bodied vertical spinner called Slash Boy, which was rather colourful and had a nice little blade that kind of reminded me of a Witch Doctor, in a way. Then what happened was the celebrities would then get to choose which robot they wanted on their team. Again, a bit like The Voice, which I can't stand, to be honest, but that's something else. And red and yellow teams picked Great White, although their team captain Steve Martin was a little bit surprised that not more of them were interested. But it wasn't quite as simple as just getting picked and then you're on the team. In order to earn a spot on that team, the challengers had to fight and defeat one of the other robots that were already on the team. And if the challengers won, they'd take their place, and if they lost, they'd go home. Great White was first in, and it pretty much walked through its battle with White Tiger Guardian. The force of its spinning blade literally flipped it over. It tore off the armour as well. It was quite an impressive fight. So White Tiger Guardian, which is the machine that almost defeated Spectre, the champions of King of Bots, I might remind you, is out, basically. Dragon King was next in, and they were offered the place on the red and green teams, and they picked the red team, which is run by a guy called Wu Chen. He seemed quite popular at the moment. Quite a lot of the teams picked him. Then the battle against a robot called Orbi Blade, which has a low-bodied bar spinner. Dragon King's tracks were completely ripped off. Orbi Blade seemed like really the worst kind of robot they could have fought. They were immobilized, knocked out, and then they failed to qualify, which was rather surprising. I thought they'd have gone through. Jim Spentowski, who you may recognise as the Nightmare captain, he was surprised when all 4 of the celebrities wanted Wrecker on their team. So he picked the yellow team, which is run by a guy called Sa Beining. Again, I'm sorry to any Chinese people watching if I'm butchering the name pronunciations. This guy's team has always been a bit of a jokey team. He's always been like the butt of a lot of comedy, and he doesn't really make the best decisions, if I'm honest. But for Wrecker to get through, they'd have to defeat a robot called Ninja, which looks very similar to Overkill from the old series of BattleBots. Ninja put up a very convincing fight against Wrecker, although in retrospect his design really was perfect to get pushed around. I mean, it had a wedge that wasn't fixed to the ground, so a bulldozer bot could easily get underneath and push it around the arena. But Wrecker, sadly, one of its cluster bots malfunctioned, and there was some aggressive control driving from Ninja, and it maintained its place. It stayed in, and Wrecker didn't go through. And of course we got this hilariously entertaining graphic on the guy who was driving Ninja, Paul Streeter. Made him look like Naruto. and guess you could say he believed it. Oh dear. Next up was the robot I was looking forward to seeing, Formula, and it chose, again, Saab Benning's yellow team over the green and blue ones. And they had to battle against another British robot, 008, which is built by the same team that built PP3D, and it looks a bit like PP3D. It's like a spinning blade that's really low to the ground, so it takes out robots from underneath. They'd had some reliability problems this time, though, so they weren't exactly performing up to how they expected to. That being said, Formula took some damage from 008. Its spoiler actually got knocked off, but 008 suffered mobility problems and it caught fire again, which it's done quite a few times in this competition, and so they were knocked out. I really felt sorry for Slash Boy though, the Colombian team, as nobody wanted to pick them to be on their team, which was a bit naff really. I mean, you make all this effort putting a robot together and then nobody wants you, which was... yeah, that wasn't very nice. Eventually, Zhang Yisan invited them to join the blue team, but they'd have to fight Vulcan first. Now, to be fair to Slash Boy, they actually started rather strong and they managed to flip Vulcan on one of its attacks, but sadly its armour was really flimsy. I mean, it looked like it was made out of plastic, and once Vulcan went Super Saiyan, which the graphics on the show made it look like it did, which I'm not really a huge fan of the graphics that they put on, but if it's what the Chinese audience want, then why not give it to them? So yeah, Vulcan went Super Saiyan, and its axe, I think it looked like it hit one of the robot's LiPo batteries because it went up in a plume of smoke, and then it was out. I felt really sorry for the Colombian team as well. Their appearance was really brief, but I suppose it shows, like, because they've only competed in Robot Sumo before, and full-on robot combat is a very different game. So I hope they build on the solid foundations and they come back next year with a stronger robot, because King of Bots has opened its second series applications recently, so anyone who wanted to build a robot for a Chinese robot show, go and apply. After those entertaining qualifying matches, we were treated to... another celebrity drivers round. I'm gonna go off on a tangent here, but I hate celebrity driving rounds with a passion. Operating robots isn't something that everyone can do, speaking from experience here, and all we get in these rounds is poorly driven fights between robots that could do so much better if their teams are at the controls. I hated it in Clash Bots, and I hate it here. Funnily enough, as the teams returned to the pits, there was a bit of confusion when it came to choosing the robots over what the format would be. I'm glad I'm not the only one who was confused by all this. And things actually got quite heated in the green team's pit, as the Roboteers they were arguing about what the best approach would be. Some wanted to forfeit the round and keep all their robots safe, or they'd risk losing a good robot with a celebrity driver who, quite frankly, didn't know how to drive any of them. Wu Chen from the red team ended up driving Ziak. Again, sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Saab Benning would drive Shredderator Tiger Claw, and Zhang Yisan would drive Greedy Snake. Gabriel Stroud had to deliver the news that the green team had chosen to forfeit the round because they didn't feel as if they needed any of the robots back. Now, I'm saying this as a fan of all the robots on the green team, but that decision looked a lot worse on TV than I'm sure it was. You know, it kind of made them look a bit stubborn, but I completely understand why they did it though. I mean, I wouldn't want any of my good robots to lose just because there was some celebrity who I've never heard of wanting to drive it. So then we were treated to the same boring celebrity driving segment as last week, where they struggle to control the robots and even get them to move in a straight line, which makes for some really naff TV, let's be honest. And then finally, it was battle time. Greedy Snake had fitted a wedge-shaped ram to counter its enemies. Not that it mattered much though, as what happened is pretty much what you'd expect. Nobody was good at driving, Shredderator Tiger Claw mostly damaged the arena wall, and Ziak was the only one that caused any trouble, ramming its opponents a few times. But the most important question is who won that battle? Well, that is the stupid cliffhanger of the week. Another thing that seems to keep popping up in Chinese robot shows. So, overall, like with the last episode, this one started well, and then it nosedived. I thought the introduction of the new robots was a bold decision, although I would have been a bit annoyed if I had a robot in the earlier rounds that got knocked out, and then some new robots came in later and didn't have to do any of the work that I had. That being said, all the robots that got through did so deservingly, and every machine left in the competition is top class and capable of winning in my eyes. There's no gimmicky or joke robots left, which is a shame because a lot of the comedy comes from the joke robots like Peerless Zooge, Diator and Nuts, those kind of machines. But again, it's great to see just top class robots everywhere you look. Still hate the celebrity driving matches though, and I think what the green team did was justified, and in refusing to send a robot to battle they made a point about the format, I thought. Although I did find it quite funny when Brian Nave from Shredderator Tiger Claw billed Sar Benning for damaging his robots. Another problem I'm having with this series is the product placement. There's quite a lot of promotion for Samsung, which is like the main sponsor, and this energy drink, which I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to call it Not Sprite. And it's starting to intrude on the program itself, I think. It's started off where it wasn't as bad as Clashbots, but it's starting to get that bad, in my opinion. And I've just realised there's a bit of a plot hole with the whole narrative of the show. Yeah, didn't mention that the show actually has a story. If these celebrities were transported to the future by this iRobot Zordon kind of figure, does that mean all the audience are in the future as well? And are they implying that the robots and builders are from there too? We know that they're not, we've seen them at live events, we know they exist in the present day, so once they leave, do they go back to the present, or are they stuck in the future with the celebrities? Who cares? So, that's my review of This Is Fighting Robots Episode 7. There's a link to the original review on my blog for when it's up. Did you agree with the Green Team's decision not to fight in the melee? Who was your favourite of the new robots? Leave me a comment and let me know. Don't forget to subscribe, check out the links, visit orcsnerd.com for more cool stuff. Thank you for watching.